Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have Linda Padilla-Smyth with us, and Linda has gone through an interesting transition, did commercial real estate. She started in Orange County and went to Chapman College, Chapman University, and then she went out on her own. So Linda, it's great to have you. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a history of how you got to where you are, that would be great.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for having me on this show. I originally moved to California in 1992, and I kind of fell into the real estate industry. I got a job at the Housing Authority of the County of Riverside. And from there, I got involved in city government land use and went into planning and redevelopment and did that for quite a while and really, really enjoyed it. And we used to have a thing called the redevelopment agency where we would go and revitalize neighborhoods. And that was a lot of fun. And we'd, bring in affordable housing that was beautiful. We had, housing money set aside to do that. And we would also bring in shopping centers or grocery stores and revitalize languishing neighborhoods. And I had the opportunity to work in the city of La Habra, where I brought in Ulta when Ulta was brand new, and everybody was very excited about that, and brought in a Sprouts and a Kaiser Permanente and a second Walmart. So that was fun. And then, the state wanted to keep that redevelopment money, and so they transferred it to back to the state. And then I, basically, was left without redevelopment anymore. And the city kept me on, but it wasn't as fun as it used to be. And then so I decided that I wanted to still, do something with real estate and development. And I got hired at Chapman University as their director of property management and real estate. And I was telling Bruce prior to us getting, on the recording, that we started out with about 70 properties. And then when we ended, we had, when I left Chapman, it was 200 plus. And so we, got a ton of properties. I got to do a really a variety of interesting real estate deals from, single family historical homes to large land parcels that we purchased. And, one we're going to use for parking in our Irvine expansion, and another that we got donated to us in Sacramento that was a parking lot. And then I looked at the land use, since that was my background, and said, hey, you know what, we can build a hotel here. And I went and got on the phone with all my hoteliers, and we got an element there, a Hilton element. And so we closed the deal with Hilton to purchase that parking lot that had been donated, and we made ourselves $6 million. So
Wow.
it was a lot of fun. So lots and lots of different projects helped develop and build and buy, and have just had a great time in my career. So, and then that brings me to the most recent. So I decided, okay, I'm having this great time and I'm building the university, but it's time to think about how can I build my own fiefdom,
Right. Yeah.
and my own legacy. And so I decided to start my business. So I started Padilla-Smyth Associates, and I became a commercial consulting firm. And then I got my broker's license and became my own commercial brokerage. I've another company, PSNA Commercial Real Estate. And then I started becoming an investor. So I now have Padilla-Smyth Capital LLC. So, from a few years ago, I think in 2021 is when I left Chapman, I believe. I now have 3 companies and I'm running them, and everything is, moving forward.
Wow. That's quite a story. So what kind of properties are you buying or developing at this point?
Currently, I'm buying. So right now, what I'm looking at is different multifamily units, But I'm also looking into REITs and DSTs. Are you familiar with REITs and DSTs?
Yeah, yeah. But for the audience, why don't you explain what a DST is?
A DST is a Delaware Statutory Trust. And so what that is similar to a REIT where you pay in part of the money as an investor. So say you only have 25,000. Well, the level to get into commercial real estate is much higher than that. Usually you need, at minimum 100,000. Usually, I mean, you can sometimes do some creative seller financing, but usually you need about 100,000 to get in. With DSTs, you can enter in as low as 25,000 if you're a direct investor. However, if you're 1031 exchange and you roll over, it usually is 100,000 as well. But if you're a direct investor, you can go as low as 25,000. So a DST is different than a REIT. The REIT, you buy into the company that owns a whole bunch of real estate product. The DST, you actually buy into the property. So the property is collateral for the for your purposes, and you can use it as a tax write-off.
So are you forming the partnership for the DST, or are you just investing?
An investor in the DST. Well, in a couple of DSTs that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Okay. I see. And then you're also owning some property aside from that?
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of properties do you have these days?
Multifamily.
Yeah. Yeah. How many units are you managing?
4.
Yeah.
I have my 1 4 unit, and then I'm looking to invest some more. And then with more of my real estate commissions, that's where it will go to.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're kind of gradually building up from sort of managing redevelopment to working with the Chapman University, and now you're kind of out on your own, investing on your own.
Yeah.
And
I'm doing it all on my own. I'm consulting. Yeah. I'm my own broker, and I'm also the investor. So
what kind of consulting are you doing these days?
So what I just recently did is the Garden Grove had their Civic Center expansion, and they had never kind of had thought through. It just kind of fell into their lap. A property became available that was adjacent to their city hall. So we purchased that, and then kind of went through finding them all the vendors to bid for all the different things. So in doing development and doing buildings, you have to get all the different vendors and bring them in and say, okay, are we going to need a new HVAC, or, are we going to need a new roof, or we're going to convert it to a police building? So that's what they initially thought. And I thought, well, you're going to have to bulletproof everything, and that's going to be quite expensive. So they switched it and, changed it to another department moving in there. And so, so it was great because I kind of I consulted, helping them think through what their civic center expansion was going to be. And so they changed their plans based on me helping them through all that process.
Yeah, it sounds like your real sweet spot is between working with cities or universities and helping them with their land and their development and so forth and their buildings, and kind of consulting on how that all really goes together.
Well, yes. And then currently I'm in talks with 2 universities. Well, I'm in talks with the Cal State system and another large university to bring a hotel use to two different types of universities.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So they have some excess land and they'd like to put a hotel on them.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
We have one that's a medical school, and they're expanding here in Orange County, and they'll have to bring in residents, they'll have to bring in physicians, they'll have to bring in teaching lecturers, all that. And so I'm trying to figure out how to house those individuals either temporarily in maybe a long-term hotel residence type in, or maybe a condo. So we're talking through all kinds of options. So yeah, I'm kind of the reuse revitalization person. I can do a ground up, or I can do a reuse and revitalize.
Well, I know that UC Irvine was very successful in bringing in their new law school to their particular campus. I don't know if that's a similar type use that's going on down there, but it sounds like done properly, if they follow the kind of guidelines that UC Irvine used, it could be very, very successful.
Yes.
So anyway, well, that's fantastic. Uh, so off you go. You're consulting, you're owning, you're doing it all. What other things have you been working on lately?
Well, like I said, I'm working on these 2 hotel deals, which has been a blast. And so I was just on this webinar on how to do educational webinars. And so I think I'm going to dip my toe into that as well, because that sounds like a lot of fun, doing webinars, I think monthly for investors on how to invest and just pass along my knowledge. And so then people can, have that as a baseline for what they need. Because I feel like, in my opinion, people make it overcomplicated on how you can do these sort of things. If you can just walk someone through stuff, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not rocket science. And so, but navigating the different areas, people can make it a lot harder.
Well, I think that's so true of commercial real estate that if you're unfamiliar with commercial real estate, it can be daunting to say the least. And if someone can kind of take you and guide you through step by step what you need to do, it's a much easier, simpler process. And I think a lot of people try and do it on their own or try and figure it out or think they can do it on their own. And it's just not all that easy to figure out
Yes.
step by step process. So I think
Yeah,
that's
and then
great.
but once you have it on lock and you can teach somebody how to do it or even the things to look for, they can do it.
Yeah, right, right. It's well, just like you said about DST. I mean, people are just not familiar with that approach. So if you can walk them through that and get them going there, then that can be a much easier process.
Yeah, and that's my intention is to now start doing webinars and to just, bring, because I feel like that's more my sweet spot. A lot of commercial real estate brokers, will do the cold calls. I know that that's how a lot of them start. And I've done my fair share of cold calls and I've gotten clients from that. And I've gotten very big name known developers from that as well. And so I think there's some benefit to that. But I think, if they're gonna list their property for sale, they weren't gonna want to go with the Colliers or a CBRE. Nothing against me, but they're gonna want the big name to go with their big property.
Right, right.
And so I understand that, but they're gonna call me, as their consultant, and pay me as their consultant. And so, I understand that as well. So I think even with this webinar thing, I want to try to hit just the regular investor and just, I'm brand new in the investment game. What can I do? Well, you can start out by buying a single family home. You can buy a 1 to 4. Here's what it takes to buy a 5 to whatever, 200,
Right, right.
and here's what it takes to get into retail. Here's what it takes to get into industrial. Here's what it takes to get into office. Cause I've bought all of those products, hotel, everything.
You know it all. And I think hotel, at least in my mind, would be the most difficult. But they all can be difficult, but hotel has so many different layers to it. It can be daunting, I think.
Well, I think with the hotel use, I think people go in my opinion, go in, think I'm going to be a hotel owner without really understanding what does it mean to be a hotel owner. You can go be an owner, but then you're going to have to be also a manager or have a very savvy manager. And you're going to have a number of bookings, a number of keys, and there has to be, a 60% booking for you to make cash flow. And, you have to be able to realize these are the numbers that you're going to have to hit. And then what does your hotel look like?
Right.
Is
Right.
it something is it a franchise? If it's a franchise, it's a little bit easier to book. If it's a mom and pop, you're going to have to do your marketing dollars and get that hotel use out there that this is a boutique hotel and this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to somehow get your name out there. So I don't think people think it through all the way, but there are ways to do it.
Right, right. They initially think, oh, yeah, let's own a hotel. That sounds like a quick way to make some money, but not necessarily all that easy.
Yes. Yeah. It requires somebody who is willing, I think, to understand the hotel market.
Right, right. Well, you've gone through all of the different land uses and types and so forth, so I think you're in a great position to move forward in the future. You probably, well, after we hit the record button, we can talk a little bit more about this. But in the meantime, where would people get a hold of you, Linda?
They can get a hold of me from my email. You can kind of see it there in the screen if you're looking at this, linda.padilla-smyth@gmail.com. And they can reach me at my on my phone, 714-364-7757. I'm always willing to talk. I leave a message and I'll get back to you. And, love to really help people understand what it is that they're going after. And even I feel like for me, I'm at the point in my career, because I pulled my government retirement. I have my PERS retirement where I can afford to be able to be, willing to share my knowledge, which I think is going to be great for my future clients, because I feel like I'm willing to share what I know.
So if you're looking for information, if you need some consulting, if you want to invest some money, call Linda.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And even if you don't invest with me and I get nothing from it, I would give you my best advice. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, I do have my law degree as well.
Oh, I did see that earlier. Your JD.
I'm not a licensed attorney, but I do have my law degree. And so I point that out to say, not that I'm going to give legal advice, but more that I would look at, I would look at those contracts for any one of my clients and say whether it's a good contract or a bad contract. And many times I've gone through and changed things for the benefit of my clients or the benefit of my universities or my even my city folks. And so I'll tell you one of the benefits. So when redevelopment went away, any redevelopment owned parcels were required to be approved by the state if they were going to be switched to a city use, and they had to meet certain requirements. Well, within 2 weeks out of the rule of law coming out, I read the rule of law very carefully, and I transferred all the properties to the city, just like it said. And then it said the DOJ had to, Department of Justice had to say, no, I could not, or the state would have to say, no, I could not transfer those. And they had 2 months to do that. Well, the 2 months passed and they didn't do that. So 13 properties got transferred to the city. Well, about a year later, after they realized I transferred the 13 properties, they decided to sue the city of La Habra for those properties. But since I followed the rule of law so closely, that the court found, and they did sue the city, the court found in favor of, the way they had transferred it according to the rule of law at the time. And all my paperwork and all my backup was used as evidence. And so 13 properties were transferred to the city legally and done appropriately because I read how to transfer them and did it within the time frame that was allowed according to what the state required.
Wow.
And they reimbursed the city for all their legal costs as well.
Oh, wow. Even better.
Yes.
Wow, that is fantastic. So,
all I'm saying is that, it's happened time and time again where I've been able to help whoever I'm working with because I read through the fine print and figure out a solution.
Well, and just on the surface, it sounds like you've saved your clients a lot of legal fees.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a big deal these days.
Yes.
I mean, attorney review can take forever and drag a deal out and kill it and all those things. So,
well, even the attorney of record, it was best in career. Even the attorney of record, Elizabeth Hull, said, Linda, the way you did this is so fantastic, and you kept all the paperwork. She goes, I am so glad, that we had everything and that you sent everything to me because I had everything in my files.
Yeah, and so it paid off in a very large dividend in that case. Yeah. And it sounds like the state was not very happy about it, but it was the rule of law and you followed it, and they got 13 properties out of it.
Yeah.
So that is fantastic. A big benefit for
So my point being that, I can look at something and see something, even today, this is another sidebar, but my husband came home and he's talking about something. And I said, do you want my advice or not? Because you keep talking and asking me what to do, but you keep talking over me. So I'm telling you what to do. And you need to do this. And so then he went back to work. I won't even say what it was, but he went back to work and did it. And he called me and said, "Oh my gosh, it worked." I said, "I know."
I know it was going to happen. So,
but my point in saying that is not because I'm so,
right. Yeah, but you're very, very, very diligent and very observant about situations.
Yeah. And I would do that for, my friends, my clients, anybody. I would just be that person that would try to figure out what is best for them.
Well, I think that's kind of polar opposite of some brokers in that they're just like, okay, let's get the deal done. Who cares whether it's right or wrong? And we're not going to look at the details. Let's just close the deal. And
Yes.
You're more of the opinion, hey, let's close the deal, but let's get it right. So,
well, and you're not going to want to close the deal if you are buying a parcel for a certain land use and then you can't do it. Or if you're buying a parcel and it's too expensive, okay, so let's see if we can negotiate it down. It can be, beneficial to both the buyer and the seller.
Yeah. No, there's been a couple cases just recently where I know some people, they bought properties and then all of a sudden they didn't realize the zoning wasn't correct and then they had to resell the property and just a disaster.
That's fine.
Anyway, all good. Well, once again, tell us your email and your phone number.
My email is linda.padilla-smyth@gmail.com. And that's linda.padillasmyth@gmail.com. And my phone number is 714-364-7757.
So call or email Linda, whatever
Yes.
your needs are, almost.
Exactly. Well, and if I can't help you, I will certainly try to refer you to someone who can.
Which is always a great system.
Yeah,
So we're going to refer each other some business, I think.
that would be great.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.